Hello and welcome to Optimal Game State. Uh, so today, this is going to be a bit of a talking head video. I'm going to talk a little bit about how 2024 went for the channel and what I'm expecting for 2025. So to start with, I am a little bit behind. About midway through December, I took a few days off or a few weeks off just to focus on Christmas stuff. And then I got sick after Christmas, so on the day after, and I am still a bit recovering. So I apologize if I'm going to be coughing or a little bit out of breath. As I said, I am still working on recovering. Looking back at 2024, that is something I want to do a short video on. It has been pretty good for all the games we're looking at. So this is looking at all the GW skirmish games primarily. I know I do look at some of the others. I'll talk about it a little bit. So yes, some of the highlights. We obviously got a new version of Kill Team. We got a new version of Underworlds, two new Blood Bowl teams. Necromunda got a new big box and two new factions, along with a big update for the squats, which is nice. Warcry, I think, got two double warband boxes. I'm not entirely sure. I'll have to double check that before I talk any further about it. But they did get a ton of PDF releases. So the PDFs really have been kind of where, in my opinion, Warcry has been really thriving. Anytime we get new models for Age of Sigmar, we eventually, a little bit later, get them for Warcry. So even when the Warcry releases are a little bit slim, and even if you don't necessarily like the Norwood stuff, there's actually a lot going for it. The other one of the other big games that I'm interested in is Legion Imperialis at the moment, and that continued with a lot of releases. So we essentially now have everything available for the two primary factions, and then we're starting to roll out and see a new faction in the case of the Admech or the Astrum. No, yeah, or the Mechanicum or the Dark Mechanicum. Apologies, that's me coughing. Oh yeah, so for 2024, if you look through the videos, one of the things you will notice is that I did spend a lot of time exploring different games. In addition to the various GW games, I looked at some BattleTech, I looked at Stargrave, 5 Leagues from the Borderland, Rangers Shadow Deep, and there's a ton of others. Um, I also looked at the RPG Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, which I feel is particularly relevant to the channel, because kind of a lot of the kind of background and history uh, for the old world occurs in there. But also, I am currently we are the second book through, and I'm playing Witch Hunter in a weekly role-playing group for it. So I'm very, very much enjoying the Enemy Within campaign, and we'll see how that goes over the next few years. Because there's like 5 books in total. I think we're maybe a quarter or a third of the way through book 2, so there's a lot to go. One of the reasons that I wanted to look through those is just to kind of get a better idea of what's out there, to kind of understand the options for skirmish war games, and kind of really understand what rules I could bring to my own games, and how I play it. One thing that I do keep coming back to, though, is actually how fantastic Warcry is. So Warcry is definitely my top game. Is the I think the system's elegant. I think it's nice, simple, and it's a perfect example of the skirmish games. So broadly, from looking across all these various games, we do find alternating actions. We do find typically it's 2 activations, so like a movement attack or attack and attack or something like that. Depends. And typically there's some sort of attack roll system, which does vary through a lot of them. I quite like Warcry's one single roll that resolves everything, purely because it speeds up the game. There are obviously for and against, and there are kind of merits to having more interaction and more re-rolls, and like you can have games where you have like 5 or 6 different rolls to resolve a single attack. For speed of play, I love the Warcry version. And then we have the kind of group resource that you typically see. I think the kind of classic one is command points for 40k or for Kill Team. Excuse me. In the case of Warcry, we have the hero dice, and I really, really like that system. It takes a little bit of time to get used to, because it is it's not such a reliable resource, but it is a bounded resource. So what you can get, the options you can get out of it each turn are limited, and it does kind of keep you on your toes. You can't hoard CP and then guarantee you're going to be able to use an ability on a certain turn. Anyway, point being, we've been looking through these things. So I mentioned Warcry, and a couple of the subscribers have pointed out and have basically said to me, "Hey, can you do a little bit more Warcry?" Because they joined the channel when I started. I did a lot of Warcry content. And the reason I did a lot of Warcry content is because there really wasn't that much out there at the time. So anytime a new warband would release, I could give a review of that warband. I could talk about it. And also I had a lot of ideas and kind of comments that I wanted to make on the game at the time. So that has kind of pulled back a little bit. So usually when I do a video, I spend a lot of time kind of crunching some numbers and doing some research. And the idea is to kind of add something. So I want someone who listens to one of my videos to learn something and to gain something from it. And we're now in a fantastic situation where, one, I don't actually have as much to say because I've said a lot already. If you want to go look and see, on Warhammer, Warcry in the old world, doing the Illustria, the different campaign options. I've got a Cursed City bit. So I thought those were all kind of generic background stuff. I've talked about a bunch of different warbands. I've talked about how best to kind of approach building your warband. There's lots of stuff. If I've wanted to talk about it, I've kind of often have. So what I'll probably be doing in the future is I'll probably be rehashing some of those topics and looking at it again. Well, and the second reason is great. We've got a lot more content providers in the Warcry community right now. So Off Meta Musings and Wargames at Toast have been churning out some great content, especially when it comes to new warbands. So for a long time, as soon as a new warband came out, I normally was the one who was able to kind of get the initial look at them and kind of talk about it. But now these guys are turning them out at quite an impressive rate, and I'm not always able to keep up. And I don't always feel it's worthwhile. Like if one of them have already done a review of one of the new warbands, there isn't always as much of a need for me to kind of rehash or repeat some of the stuff. And if I think maybe that they've taken up something wrong, that might be an opportunity for me to kind of add my oar in. But largely the community is good with at least one of the channels doing a proper review, a detailed review, and these guys know what you're talking about. And we also have like some other great Warcry channels like the Salty Sea, and I'm really enjoying the Three Heroes One Chat. There are others besides, but those are the first ones that come to mind. So we've got a great community, but it does make it a little bit harder to actually make Warcry content that I feel is valuable and I feel is worthwhile. Yeah, so yeah, we didn't have it all that time ago. So this year we are expecting a new edition of Warcry, and I'll definitely be covering that. So that is something that is definitely going to be happening. I'll probably have to think about the pre-edition stuff if there's anything I want to kind of cover, but it does mean that I don't really want to do a intro into Warcry now, because I think it probably won't be useful for as long as maybe it could be. So I'll probably look at doing more of the background stuff, the campaign stuff, probably kind of maybe looking at like using the old world models. I think they're a great opportunity to tap into that range and do very kind of thematic in the old world games. So it is, as I mentioned before, it is a topic I have looked at before. There are warbands that fit the needs of the Empire, of the dwarfs, and so on. And yeah, so yeah, that might be something I look at. Anyway, it's probably going to be about March before we start hearing about the new edition. That's my expectation from what happened with the previous edition. And then in these few months up to it, we're probably not going to see that much in regard for Warcry releases. We might see like some PDF releases. Like we are seeing a few new Age of Sigmar releases. So anytime you have one of those, there's the opportunity to get more Warcry profiles. Excuse me. And then we're probably not going to see an actual release until maybe August or July, I think. So it's probably going to be a quiet first half for Warcry in 2025, and then it's going to be a busy enough half afterwards. I am very, very busy on Legion Imperialis. So this is me working on some speeder bikes. I did in December start recording a piece about getting together a Iron Warriors. I have an Imperial Fist one. I wanted an Iron Warriors one because one of my mates expressed an interest in playing a game, and I had about a week to get all of my models off sprues and onto bases ready to play. So that was a bit of a rush, but I think there's an opportunity for a video there, just talking about uh, building armies, because it is a little confusing for Legion Imperialis. But I think a lot of people, when they talk about building armies, miss that there's actually two elements to it. The first is the lists that you can build. The second one is the way GW are actually releasing the models. So you don't just get those speeder bikes. You have to buy them with the Outrider bikes and the land speeders and a bunch of other stuff. So normally models get bundled in one of the things. Maybe that's a topic for another day. Yeah, so one of the things I did want to look at today, I wanted to look at some of my painting from the year. So these are the models of the week, or models of the month. So let me get them in. So this is a pretty standard Chaos Warrior. I've really got that black, brown, and red down. I think I have done at least one video on them. So it is a scheme I'm very happy with, and I can do pretty quickly. So that's a nice one. I do have a considerable chunk. So what do I have? I've got a the war host of Eternus back there, and then I've got a couple of other models like this monstrous chaos demon. The base is wobbly. I don't know what to do about that. He's got some big wings in the background that you can't quite make out. So yeah, that's something for me. I did want to try out some Age of Sigmar, just a little bit. My brother's been collecting some Stormcast, so that's the plan. But yeah, I also might be looking at some other stuff. Another thing I probably will talk about is the new Hobgoblin war game, and just have a comparison with that and Warhammer the Old World. They're basically both square-based games, essentially. So that might be interesting. Anyway, okay, that's that. One of my Crute. So this guy obviously came out on the month when they had the big Crute release for 40k. I found it quite interesting that they had these little lots of little patterns for the armor, which I thought was very, very cool. I hadn't seen before. Ooh, that light just fade. No, I'm sure it was right. So this was the way of painting this was from one of Peachy's painting phase videos. So it was nice and simple and easy to do. He always has some great ones. One of the Neurogaunts, I think these are. Obviously with the 40k 10th edition, not 2004, but the year before. We've got tons of the Tyranids flying around. So this is another one of those, done in this particular scheme, which I've been doing all the others. So it'll be a nice addition. So yeah, for me, I'm not really interested in 40k. 40k the war game, I am interested in 40k the setting. This will probably go into one of the Kill Team NPC games. So we'll try out maybe some Titus versus some Tyranids games of one of these. It can be fun. This one's a December medal. This is a Storm Vermin for the Skaven. Very, very happy to have this. This is going to be great in Warcry. They are very effective at protecting, defending some slightly more vulnerable leader models that you might have in your warband. So I think it's a double or a triple, and while they're beside that model, you have to attack the storm vermin first before you can get at them. Yeah, nice, straightforward scheme. The Again, like, red is nice and handy to do if you have your kind of 3-part color set up ready to go. So this one was an interesting one. One of the things that GW do when they do their monthly releases is they will sometimes put them on a sprue and they send them out, and sometimes what they do is they just send out boxes to the stores, and the stores break up the boxes. So in this case, it was a box of these City of Sigmar men. I didn't actually get one that month. I just broke out this the one I had done already. So I really, really like these models. I've done all of the starter box except for, I think I've got the 5 knights to do. So that's something to look forward to this year. And yeah, I know you're not here to remind me, but I probably should talk about my plans on painting and collecting at the end of this. I'll try to remember as I get to the end. Lettuce, not vegetable, but Lethis. City of Lettuce is in the Realm of Dead. I really like the idea of having these boys and girls. It's a nice mix. To face off against my vampires and my undead that I've got quite a considerable amount. You can see here we've got this nice blue kind of cobblestone base. I've done all of my undead from the Cursed City box in this style, and I've been doing all the humans. Actually, do I have? Yeah, here's another one. Obviously, it's not a monkey model. This is still a work in progress. I've got some kind of base colored down, but there's some work to do. So you can see we've got that base for him as well. So this is Christoph, one of the kind of a rat teamed vampire from the Cursed City. So yeah, I've been slowly working my way through those, and yeah, we've now got we've got a nice team going on, the humans versus the undead, which is kind of fun. Another one where the model actually turned up late to my store, and I got tired of waiting, and I ended up buying the box. So I do have the Cruel Boys Monster Killers box floating around, and in the end, the model did turn up the store, so I can get around to finishing that off at some point. Yeah, it was fun doing a bit of green skins, and then we just went crazy with tufts to kind of get that kind of jungle idea going on. So that one is for later. This is one of the Death Watch Terminators that I obviously meddled around with, and chopped off anything that was Dark Angels, and then put a lot of Black Templar transfers over it to do the style. So yeah, it came out nice. I'm pretty happy with them. The base is a resin base from a German company. I have a good chunk of them. I've been doing them on all my Space Marines. It's probably been a mistake, because obviously there's only so many of them, and it can get quite expensive. But you know, it looks good. Yeah, it came out nice. I'm happy with them. Beastman. This was actually from the Kill Team guys, but what I did was I chopped off the gun holster and a bolt pistol and replaced it with a random shield from, I don't know, a Viking or something, and then we painted it up. Wish there were more of these. Wish there were more Beasts of Chaos. So they've cut them out of Age of Sigmar, which is a real shame. And I don't know. I'm not sure if they're going to be bringing them into the old world. But like, yeah, the hordes of beastmen are kind of classic and brilliant. It's a real shame they don't have them. Scout, done the Blood Angel. We shinied up the armor, and the bases we're using are Necromunda style. So what is it? There's a series of 40k ones that you can get that are based around the um, the boarding actions, I think. So I got a ton of these, and I'm using any chance I get because it kind of combines all of my 40k models, and I can use them in Kill Team, and I can use them in Necromunda, and they'll kind of look right. And what I do is I use a lot of dirty down rust on it, so they get painted silver, and then I just drench them in dirty down rust, and then that's it. They get this nice browny look. Yeah, that's a scout. Why didn't I do my scout as a Black Templar? Just figured I'd just try a different color. And yeah, I mean, reds and blacks are kind of what I do, so it wasn't too much of a stretch doing them as a Blood Angel. Um, yeah, something do something different. This is the one of the kill team. So there's lots of 2 kill teams, right? It's a bit strange. Not entirely sure what I think about this. I think they look great for Necromunda. Like that leather jacket really kind of fits doing Necromunda-y stuff. But it's a shame the way it hides so much of the armor underneath. You only kind of get a little bit of the peak. But yeah, they're nice. I'm not sure if I'll get more of these. I'll talk about that in a second. Was really, really happy with this one. And actually, after I got this, I think, did I? Yeah, so I this was another one where the model never arrived in my local store, so I ended up buying the full box. I was actually quite happy that I did because we've since gotten rules for Warcry, so I'm really happy to have them. And actually, after painting this model, I just really really enjoyed it. Again, a lot of the colors are ones that I've been doing on my Slaves to Darkness. So I do have a chunky Slaves to Darkness. Like I've got like 5 knights. I've got the Chaos Lord on Karadrak done. I've got 10 of the warriors. Um, I mean, it's not a crazy amount, but it's definitely a decent start. I still have a lot more to paint if I actually wanted to feel it as an army. Um, and because I've played a lot of Warcry, I've got a lot of the old warbands, which in theory, at least in the previous edition, in third edition, which I'm probably going to be sticking with for Age of Sigmar until I get a few games. I'm not going to be pushing to update everything. As I said, me and my brother have been collecting. He's got a Stormcast. I've got my Slaves to Darkness. If we can get some games in with third edition and we enjoy it, we might upgrade to fourth edition. But we're not going to rebuy all the books and the cards and whatever just because. Anyway, yeah, this was enjoyable. I've now got a ton of Marauders, so I got that full box of 10. I do unpainted have the Savagers. What else did I get? Oh, I did do the that big beast for the Savagers, and he came out really, really nice. So I'm very, very happy with him. This one, this one was an interesting experiment. So if you look at the underneath there, you can see there's lots of purple. So what I did with this model is I sprayed it purple, and then on top I sprayed it with a magenta. So it has a kind of, I think there may have been a blue in between. So it's got a transition of colors going from top to bottom. And then I went in and I started putting the kind of the pale flesh tone over it. And then anywhere I didn't cover, you're seeing that pink or purple show through, depending. It just gave it a really, really nice effect. So I was super, super happy with it. I think there's a lot more to be done with this kind of 2-tone or 3-tone undercoat, and then having your layers kind of show that through. Um, I don't have ghouls. I don't have much of the ghouls beyond this guy, but I'm super super tempted to it. As you can see, we've got that Curse City base style going again. So all the Curse City stuff can kind of work together. I don't unfortunately have blue matte to go along with it. That would be nice. Um, Maybe one day when I have space, I'll be able to actually do, rather than having a mat or a cardboard board, I'll actually try do one of those kind of big Mordheim boards that people sometimes do. Okay, those are the main things I want to look at there. Let's just switch back to my face. Okay, so I've talked a little bit about Warcry. I've talked a little bit about some of the other games. I showed off my 2024 monthly figures. I don't think I'm necessarily going to do it this time around. I did pop into my local store and they had uh, the Striking Scorpion as the model of the month for January. It was one of the ones where it was in a box and people were splitting it up and trying to work their way through it. I don't really like going in, and it was packed, so I didn't really feel like taking it off. I'm really happy that I got through my 12 models. I'm delighted I got to show them off here. And if I highly recommend, if you've got a local store, going in on the first Saturday of every month and seeing if they have a model. Now, what they will ask you to do is build it there, assemble it there, and then go out. Um, that's the policy. That's what they're supposed to do. I tend to build them badly. Um, I don't always glue everything together. Um, but because I always make sure to bring the model in, the staff there know that I'm not just taking it off to try sell it on eBay or something like that. That I am actually building the model, and I think they like the fact that it's going to be there on the shelves, so they can kind of show them off. Which I get a free model, they get to show off some models that people painted. I'd like it's a win-win for everyone as far as I can see. But yeah, be respectful. Understand that there is a policy. If your local store insists on you sitting down and fully assembling it and gluing it all together, you'll have to take it home and disassemble anything you're not happy with and scrape. And you do have to use the local or the GW products that they have available for you, which will be one of their mold line removers and the clippers, which aren't necessarily great. So as I said, what I like to do, if I can get away with it, is I'll cut out all the bits, I'll put them in the box, and then I'll bring them home with me. And yeah, I think I probably only get away with that because the store know that I'm going to be in a few days later with a fully painted model that they can have. So keep that in mind. Don't get annoyed with staff. They're just doing their job. Um, and yeah, okay, it's a fun experiment, and I think it's pretty nice to kind of show off what you have afterwards. Right, what else do I want to talk about? Um, One of the things that I'm probably going to be doing this year is pushing back on my expenses. So, what I had been doing last year was anytime I had an idea for a video, I pick it up, like spend a chunk of money on it, and then I'd have the product so I could talk about it. So, for example, the Halls of the Ancients for Necromunda has just come out, um, and what I could have done is picked it up and then done a bit of a review on it. I didn't do that this time around, and one of the reasons why is over the next year, 6 months, I guess, I'm going to be trying to save up for a mortgage and get a mortgage approval. Um, and that probably means spending a little bit less on GW products for a little bit. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't have stuff to work on. Uh, Lots of Frostgrave, Blood Bowl, Alaka, open. This is my and look, that is just the table that I reached over to. I have a lot. I have a lot of special edition models. I have a lot of the. I've got a lot of kill teams that I have half assembled or haven't fully assembled. I've got like 3 Necromunda gangs. So I definitely have things that I can be working on. I don't need to spend money for 6 months to a year. I will still have plenty to do. I'm not going to stop. Um, there's definitely things that I will want to pick up to kind of round out things. So one of the things that I have is Silver Bayonet. Um, Shockingly, Napoleonic Wars aren't as fascinating or as interesting in Ireland as maybe they are in the UK. But it is notable that like I think 30% of the British troops at Waterloo were Irish. Um, Wellington himself was Irish. There were the guy who closed the gate in the Hessian was Irish. So we don't necessarily talk about it a lot, but there's an interesting history there. I did pick up my brother some of the British riflemen, so he could put together some of the Sharp models because he's a big fan of Sharp, um, like many are. Thanks, PG. But we'll see how that goes. So if he gets those models assembled and painted, then what I'll have to do is I'll have to go get some French. And then I'll have to get a few more British. And then we maybe get some werewolves. And then we are go for a few games of Silver Bayonet, which could be a lot of fun. So there are small things like that that I'll probably look at. But I'm trying to pull myself back and kind of work through my backlog to improve my potential for getting a mortgage, which really is the ultimate hobby accessory. If I can get more space, if I can get a hobby room, um, yeah, if we're able to get a place where we could actually put in a 3D printer, that might be good. So yeah, it is the biggest hobby accessory you can get is actually getting on the property ladder. So we're going to try work on that this year, which will mean I will have to kind of focus my expenditure and focus what I'm doing on. Now, luckily for 2025, luckily for 2024, I was very much experimenting. I was very much out there trying to find new games and trying to find new things. So I often had lots of ideas that I started but never finished. So we have a few things that I would like to look at. So I definitely like to look at that PvE kill team games. So the one we did already, we took some Death Watch, we faced them off against some Tyranids. But since then, GW did release 2 PvE packs. So one of them was the Sniper, which I might do. I do have the old Warhammer Plus model of a sniper on the building, so we could actually assemble that model and use that for those scenarios. That could be interesting. There is. I also picked up the Titus model. Not that I think the model is nice, but it does have the bits. So the plan is to chop that model up and then take the Astartes bits that I have, so some of my Primaris models from my Black Templars, and then see if we could build the Titus and his 2 buddies. And again, we have that PvE version that that GW released on the website, Warhammer Community. So that sounds like it's a lot of fun. And one of the things I would like to do this year is actually start playing more games. So one of the things that I've been doing, and maybe this is something that you've kind of found for yourself. One of the things that I have been doing is I've been preparing a lot of games. I've been painting a lot of models, and as soon as I get, say, my Titanicus collection ready and done, so I can play a 2-player game with all the bits I've magnetized the profiles. I've got everything ready to go. Then I'll push that to the side, and I won't play the game. Instead, I'll move on to something else, and I'll work on my kill team. So I picked up the kill team box. I painted up all of the Into the Dark scenery. I fully painted the Crute and the Navy Breacher teams. But then I never painted it because, I moved on to the next project. So that's a bad habit that I have this year, 2025. I probably should focus more on getting those games played, talking to my friends, getting them over, and then or I think maybe I might see if I can get 2 of my friends over, and rather than actually playing, just give them the models and then let them play. That could be fun. Anyway, that's something I want to do. So that's 2 things for me for 2025. It probably won't affect the channel that much, in so much as I'll still be able to kind of look at what people are talking about online and kind of the bits and pieces. It just means I won't physically be getting as much product into hand and won't be able to kind of give feedback that way. There will be exceptions to this. As I said, we are expecting Warcry to get a new release. If GW decided to release Battlefield Gothic, that might also be a problem. So we'll do the best we can, but there are going to be exceptions. For example, I've been trying to be very good all year, and it's 11 days into January. It's 11 days. I did pick up the Vendense because my local store did have them, and they're beautiful. I really, really enjoyed them. Again, I painted them up uh, in Leslie's colors. And if you have a look, you'll find them on my Instagram or my Blue Sky or wherever. Um, and yeah, they'll again we have them in those that blue kind of basing scheme, so they'll work perfectly with all the undead. Um, and my Rattos, they've got kind of a grey basing scheme instead, but it's close enough. They'll if I want to do some Vandents or some Witch Hunters um versus Skaven as well, that'll be something that I'll have for the long runs. So yes, play more games. Stop buying models. Try get through the backlog. We are going to be buying things, as I said. If we want to get those games of Silver Bayonet in, we're going to have to spend a little bit more there. If I want to, well, Legion Imperialis, I'm pretty good on. I just need to work through what I have. Kill Team is similar. I might be tempted to pick up more Kill Team cards. I'm really a sucker for those packs of cards, and having printed some myself, I know they're not that bad price wise, which is a kind of a crazy thing to say, but it is what it is. And yeah, Rangers of Shadow Deep is looking at me over there. There are a few models like giant rats that I would like to pick up, just kind of round out the collection. Um, yeah, there are a few other things that I would like to talk about in the next few episodes. This is one that I'm really interested in. I finally got my hands on my copy of Mike Hutchinson's Hobgoblin. So it is, yeah, can you see there? So it is a game somewhat like Warhammer the Old World, but it has an interesting twist in that the rather than having books that say, these dwarf iron breakers have this strength, this toughness, blah blah blah. Instead, you will go for heavy infantry, which will have a certain stat profile, and then you'll add in modifiers, traits that are in here. So you'll say they're slow because they're dwarfs. They're stubborn, so they're not gonna break as easy, and then that'll adjust some points. And it'll be there. So all of these things are normally happening in the background. So if you look at the Warcry card creator, you will see on the right hand side there's a estimation of the points, and then in there further, excuse me, in there further is a breakdown of what I think the points calculation is. The point being, every one of these games have point calculations that the designers work with, but they don't always reveal. And the fascinating thing about this game, Hobgoblin, is that he's very open and he shows the calculation. So what you then do is you take your models, you build your unit, and then you look at your unit and going, what type of unit it is, what kind of traits might it have, and then you kind of construct your game out of that. So rather than having to wait for like balance patches and updates and things, if you want to tweak your own models, your own rules, you can. Yeah, I just think it's a very nice, very, very nice approach to wargaming in general. Just getting your guys down onto the board and having a simple enough rule set that you can just charge at each other and then have big explosions. So yeah, I think I want to talk about that one a little bit, because the more I play and the kind of more I look at these games, the more I feel we need to be able um, to play these games without GW. So often the rule sets that GW do aren't complete. They aren't fully thought out. There are flaws. Sometimes they release updates and new books just because they can, not because they should. I sometimes find that to be a little bit frustrating. So, I find Hobgoblin very interesting. I think it's kind of similar if you kind of compare more time to Warcry. People really love being able to pick a guy, give him an axe, give him a pistol, and let him go. Whereas with Warcry, you need to make sure that there's already that profile there somewhere, and it's done. So it's just kind of a different approach to things. It's maybe a little bit of a philosophical game design element. Um, but yeah, a lot of the kind of discussions and a lot of the debates and arguments are kind of around the idea that the current list or the current profile is incorrect, so you're not going to play those models, even though you love those models. I think if we had the tools to be able to adjust things themselves. So yeah, again, I'll talk about it in a later video, but I am really interested in how this particular game compares to Age of Sigmar and Warhammer: The Old World, and whether it is preferable, whether it's worthwhile to be actually building for Hobgoblin instead. And just trying to enjoy the rules and maybe kind of free yourselves. I know a lot of people enjoy one-page rules as another example where you can kind of do that. So, right, I'm starting to ramble. If you have any ideas, if you have any thoughts on what I should be looking into for the channel, please post them below. I'd love to hear them. This channel's a bit weird in that normally whatever I'm talking about is whatever I'm interested in at the time. So my hobby interests tend to flit between different games. Often that's just to keep me interested and excited about things. And I like doing deep dives, and I like kind of learning stuff so that I can share it with you. So just anything you want to know, please do tell me. I'm thinking I might try do a few more intro versions. So I think it would be useful at this stage with a lot of people kind of coming in and joining to have a what is Warhammer. So I might start on one of those and see how I go with it. Because I think the fact that we've got Age of Sigmar, Warhammer: The Old Worlds, Wolfrup, Blood Bowl is a separate side. Then you've got 40k, you've got Necromunda. We won't even go as far as Gorkamuk or anything else like that. But like there are all of these kind of different things that are under this umbrella of Warhammer. And often when people talk about Warhammer, they mean the whole hobby as well. So I think there's a potential for a kind of a good discussion to kind of explain that to someone who's new. And then we can kind of work from there. We can maybe do an intro to 40k, and we can do an intro to Age of Sigmar. We can do an intro to Warhammer, the old world, as it were, even though the old world and the end times, there's thousands of years between them. Anyway, as I said, getting off topic again. If you've got any ideas, please comment below. Channel is still going. I'm still very happy with it, although I need to shed this cold before I can get away with not heavy breathing all the time and coughing every so often. Yeah. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you have a good week. I will do my best to have another video for you next week. Although what that might be, I don't know right now. But yeah, we have lots of things to work on. I did pick up the new Halo Flashpoint, or rather, it was picked up for me as a Christmas present. And yeah, we are still working on other projects. So Leagues Imperialis. For some reason, I've got some goblins floating around, and I've been working on some random NPCs. This is a guy with a duck, because why not? Anyway, that is me for now. Have a good week, everyone.
Thanks for making it all the way to the end. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Each week I put up a new video talking about one of Games Workshop's specialist games. The goal is always to try and make the best possible two-player experience. If this is something you'd find interesting, please subscribe to the channel and comment to let me know what you'd like to see in future.